October 30th, 2024. Wednesday of the 30th week in Ordinary Time. A reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Ephesians. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, this is the first commandment with a promise, that it may go well with you and that you may live long in the land. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. Bondservants, obey your earthly masters with fear and trembling, with a sincere heart, as you would Christ, not by the way of eye service, as people pleasers, but as bondservants of Christ, doing the will of God from the heart, rendering service with a good will as to the Lord and not to man, knowing that whatever good anyone does, this he will receive back from the Lord, whether he is a bondservant or is free. Masters, do the same to them, and stop your threatening, knowing that he who is both their master and yours is in heaven, and that there is no partiality with him. The word of the Lord. Responsorial Psalm. The Lord is faithful in all his words. All your works shall thank you, O Lord, and all your faithful ones bless you. They shall speak of the glory of your reign, and declare your mighty deeds. The Lord is faithful in all his words. To make known your might to the children of men, and the glorious splendor of your reign. Your kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, your rule endures for all generations. The Lord is faithful in all his words. The Lord is faithful in all his words, and holy in all his deeds. The Lord supports all who fall, and raises up all who are bowed down. The Lord is faithful in all his words. Alleluia, alleluia. Blessed are you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, that you have revealed to little children the mysteries of the kingdom. Alleluia. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. At that time, Jesus went on his way through towns and villages, teaching and journeying towards Jerusalem. And someone said to him, Lord, will those who are saved be few? And he said to them, strive to enter through the narrow door. For many, I tell you, will seek to enter and will not be able. When once the master of the house has risen and shut the door, and you begin to stand outside and to knock at the door, saying, Lord, open to us. Then he will answer you, I do not know where you come from. Then you will begin to say, we ate and drank in your presence, and you taught in our streets. But he will say, I tell you, I do not know where you come from. Depart from me, all you workers of evil. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth, when you see Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and all the prophets in the kingdom of God but you yourselves cast out. And people will come from east and west, and from north and south, and recline at table in the kingdom of God. And behold, some are last who will be first, and some are first who will be last. The Gospel of the Lord. Reflection. Wednesday, 30th week in Ordinary Time. It is clear from the first reading that this letter to the Ephesians accepts the institution of slavery as given. Slavery was so endemic in the Roman world that it would have been difficult to imagine society without it. However, Paul seeks to humanize this institution, insisting that masters and slaves are to treat one another with deep respect and sincere loyalty. Furthermore, he reminds masters that both themselves and their slaves have the same master or Lord in heaven who is not impressed by one person more than another. Those Christians who are masters in this life are slaves of Christ, and their slaves have been set free by Christ. There is a fundamental equality between master and slave in the eyes of Christ. In the Gospel reading, Jesus calls on his hearers to strive to enter by the narrow door. This exhortation is addressed to all, regardless of their place on the social ladder. It is not a case of one door and one stairway for slaves and another, more grand, door and more splendid stairway for masters. All, slave and free, Jew and Greek, male and female, have to enter by the same narrow door. In the Gospel of John, Jesus identifies himself as the door to fullness of life. The door may be narrow but there is wonderful green pasture beyond it, or, in the imagery of the Gospel reading, there is a wonderful banquet beyond it, at which people from the four corners of the earth are invited to gather. All can be guests, on an equal footing, at the feast in the kingdom of God. Yet, there is first the small matter of that narrow door. To enter by the narrow door is to walk in the way of Jesus, which is the way of loving respect for all, in particular those who were often denied respect, such as the vulnerable and marginal, the poor and the weak. All who walk through this narrow door of loving respect of others will experience the fullness of the Lord's hospitable love beyond it.